Welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Collective, your weekly journal of the hip-hop R&B landscape. I'm your host, as always, Jon.
And I'm your co-host, Tope. Welcome. We're at the 2-3. And, the number 23, right, is like, especially in basketball, right, is like a symbol for greatness. As, of course, Michael Jordan was, famously 2-3.
The
Changed
greatest.
it for a little bit. Yeah, changed it for a little bit when he came back, but always been 2-3. And obviously, people kind of take on that, right? So, like, LeBron James, he's also number 23 as well. So yeah, greatness, right? And then you know what's one good thing about history, right, Jon, is that history always remembers the good parts. Like, you always remember the good parts of history, right? Whether it's true or not, you're just like, fuck it, yeah, that actually did happen, back in the day. So, like, for example, 461 AD today actually was, the day St. Patrick's Day was born. So
unbelievable. No research. That's just off the dome, isn't it? 461 AD.
Yeah. I mean, on another day, I mean,
How did you know?
Look, Jon, you just have to roll the punches. So, I mean, also today, a great jazz, known for popularizing swing, Nat King Cole. He was born on this day. Crazy, right?
How many years ago?
I think it was 1919. So he would have been 102.
Damn.
Yeah.
1919.
I mean, you also get the weird part.
Wasn't that the year of like the Spanish flu, right? The influenza.
Yeah. No, 1918. Well, I think
I'm sure it went on into 1919.
Yeah, it probably did. Fuck it out. They had there was no such thing as medicine there, was there? So yeah. I mean, you also had the death of Marcus Aurelius, famous for his philosophical ideas. That was 180 AD. So you look back at history, you're like, fuck it out, like all these like amazing moments in history. I mean, there's also weird parts, like I said before, like Eleanor Roosevelt started, married her cousin Franklin Roosevelt. That was fucking weird, wasn't it? But on this day as well. So yeah, I mean, and also now you move on through history. Like, there's so many interesting parts. The Berlin Wall falls in the I think it's 70s or so, and then you move on a bit further. You're like, damn, that's the day Tupac got shot in Vegas. Like, fuck it out. It's like 96, I believe. So it's like, and then you move a bit further. The World Cup, not World Cup final. Fucking hell, who gives a fuck about that? The Champions League final when Liverpool comes back 3-0 down from AC Milan after
that wasn't a particularly interesting day, but yeah, cool.
That day was ridiculous.
You've got to take your wins, haven't you?
You got to take them. In Istanbul, Steven Gerrard has the night of his life, and then you move on to just last year, Jon, October 1st, 2020, the Vinyl Collective was born. It's like, fuck it out.
Huge day. People will be talking about that in years to come.
Exactly. And then
where were you?
Exactly. Where were you when the Collective was born? Exactly. The greatest podcast to do it. So then you move on to Monday, the 15th of March, 2020. And history's going to say, Megan Thee Stallion won Best New Artist. How you doing?
That was a hell of an intro.
Oh yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, let's just get into the Grammys though. We obviously had a whole episode of people listen to that where we kind of gave our impressions of like, who should win, who should have got nominated, who did and shouldn't have. First off, surprises for me. I don't think many. I wasn't expecting Nas to win Best Rap Grammy, but as me and you've, kind of concluded, it's the Grammys.
I mean,
what are you expecting? So. Like, things are going to happen and you can't always explain it.
I mean, you can explain it. It's just fucking,
nepotism and...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I remember there was, I think it was at the Golden Globes. So if people are big fans of Ricky Gervais, right? He hosted them quite a couple of years in a row, right? Infamous speeches. I still go back to them when I'm bored. He's just ripping celebrities. But he has this one where he was making a joke about there was this Johnny Depp and like Angelina Jolie film that was just shit. And he was making a joke about how the only reason it was nominated was so that like the Hollywood foreign press could get a chance to hang out with Johnny Depp. And it feels like that with some of these artists. It's like there's no way they should have been nominated.
Yeah.
But they want to hang out at a dinner party with, whoever.
Yeah, I mean, for example, speaking of people who won, now we have her who's on her, 4th Grammy without an album. Technically, she must be the greatest singer of all time. I mean, it's just to pull this off without no fucking album. Like, who's ever done this, right? That must be a stat. The most Grammys won without a single album to her name. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
I reckon she's gonna run with it. It's gonna be like she's gonna drop her, her final EP, retire, drive off into the sunset with 12 Grammys and no studio albums.
With just slightly less darker shades as she's been doing. Like whatever, like right at the end, at the end of her career, she just takes off the glasses. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed.
Oh damn!
I'm sorry. It's already kicking off to a bad start. But yeah, it's just the Grammys is just. I mean. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about, right? Like, because it's just so funny how like people like when the nominations are announced and their favorite artist isn't nominated, they're like, "Oh, the Grammys so shit." Like, "Oh, who cares about the Grammys anyways? If anything, we should start our own Grammys." Like, and it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, and to some degree, I agree. But then it gets to the Grammys, right? And then once they kind of calm down and it's like, oh, okay, my favorite artist didn't get nominated, but so someone I like got nominated, and then they're like, when that person doesn't win, they're like, that person got robbed. What the fuck is this? I'm like, okay, cool. But when they do win, it's like, look at greatness.
Yeah, there's always that energy. There's always that energy that just goes missing when they actually get nominated and win. They're like, oh, maybe it's not so bad.
It's like, oh, look, this is greatness in the making. It's like, the fuck? You weren't saying that.
There's that hilarious skit, Chris Rock taking the piss out of like Jada Pinkett Smith saying she was going to boycott the Oscars. He was like, Jada Pinkett Smith boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
I mean, it's true, right? It's true. Like, it's just hilarious. It's just like people will literally call for it. Like, a lot of these artists even said fuck the Grammys. Like Jay-Z said it before, J. Cole, all these guys, Drake, I said it, like, and then when they get nominated and win later on, it's like, oh, Sunday I can just drink out this cup and Sunday it's just me and then I'm gonna give it to my mom as a present. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is there no integrity with the artists? Like, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, what did you think of some of the winners? So I mean, let's get into it, right? I mean, some of the winners are quite significant.
I mean, just off the top of the head, Anderson .Paak kind of expected that winning with Lockdown, Best R&B album, I mean, that was already a bit of a dud when we talked about it in December, wasn't it? With like literally no female singers being nominated. And then John Legend wins. You can tell how much it matters to him because he was like in his kitchen, in his dressing gown with like Chrissy Teigen there, just like chopping garlic. He's like, what? Yeah. Another Grammy? Cool, thanks.
Exactly. A guy who has an ego, one of the few people in existence with an ego. It's like, oh, what? Another Grammy for an album that I just phoned in. Oh, okay, cool. Why not? We take those over here.
Put that on the shelf. Yeah. Who else? In terms of like non-hip hop and R&B, Taylor Swift winning album of the year.
Cool.
That was kind of expected, I don't think. I mean, I was obviously happy about that. I think it's a great album. Who else winning?
Fucking Billie Eilish won a couple.
Billie Eilish, that was... And then she did that classic, like, what is it? The classic Adele, where it's like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I shouldn't have won. You should have won.
Oh,
but also, the worst, and they do that. They go on for like 2 minutes. Oh, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're amazing. You're so beautiful. Oh, also, cheers. I really appreciate the Grammy. But it's like, you're going to talk the talk, but like, if you want to actually say they deserve it, give it to them. No one's going to, though, are they? So
that's just the worst as well. It's like when, you know what it is? It's like when certain players lose in a match with whatever sport, and then like, even though, like, for example, LeBron James could put up like 38 fucking points in the game, right? His team was playing like shit and they lose the game. He's like, I'm really sorry to the fans. I promise to work harder next time. It's like, wait, what? You weren't the fucking problem. Like, change some of the fucking players on the team. Like, why we act like some sad, beat down dog? Like, if you won the Grammy, you won the Grammy. You had no choice in that. You did what you had to do. Like, all that little like pity and shit is really cringe to me. It's like, it really makes me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Best progressive R&B album was... Who was it again? Oh no, I've lost it.
I actually haven't checked these awards. I
Do
only
you?
know some of the no, man. No, I couldn't. From when Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce was started racking it in, I was like, yeah, fuck this, man. Like Megan Thee Stallion winning Best New Artist. It's like me getting scouted for under 16s football team. That doesn't make any. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Like, yeah.
What can you do?
I mean, you're not gonna give it to Kate Renata, are you? That's like, you know what I mean? Fucking much older artist. Like,
how was that a thing?
I don't know.
The guy literally released Bubba. Was it beginning of last year or 2019 even?
2019.
And then he released 99.9% like in 2016. That was huge.
Yeah, massive.
Huge. And that was 5 years ago, and he's nominated for Best New Artist.
I mean, we know R&B,
before I forget, Thundercat.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Wasn't disappointed with that. Good for him. He had a good album last year.
I mean, the box not taking any as well. It's kind of egregious.
Yeah. I think that was we called that, didn't we? Yeah. Well, we called him winning.
Yeah, I mean, Savage is a good song. Don't get me wrong, but the box, come on. But then this is the problem. Beyonce, they said, look, Beyonce, look, we know you're really busy, and you know you don't want to be out in the pandemic, and you've got these kids at home. But if we promise you at least one, will you make it? Like, we need numbers. Like, it's already postponed. They're like, it's like, all right then. But my daughter, she's not coming. It's like, okay, cool, fuck it. Emily ended up giving her an award as well. It's like,
what did she get one for again?
I think it was.
Don't tell me it's like that kind of like
for Brown Skin Girl. It was for Brown Skin.
Was it a production credit or something?
No, it was an actual song credit.
Really?
Because she sang the chorus. I think it was Brown Skin Girl won a Grammy. I can't remember what category it's for, but yeah, it won a Grammy. Fucking crazy.
I don't like this whole like, let's give a kid a Grammy. Let's get a kid on this track. I'm not a fan. I said it when it came to Untitled Unmastered. It felt a bit
100%.
It felt a bit performative.
And I was speaking to this with someone the other day where it's like, how much contribution is notable? Because there's certain people, you know, you don't need to kind of, you know, if you look hard enough, you'll know, right? Yeah. They'll get credits for just being in the studio, mate. And because people play the game of the Grammys, it's like, the more like everyone who gets noted as a contributor gets a Grammy as well. So you literally have people who fucking just nodded their head and it's like, yeah, that shit's fire. Getting Grammys, it's like, wait, what? Like, how is this even allowed? Like, you surely it has to be like a minimum effort. Like, you at least have to like say something, even if it's like, yeah, like on a song. Like, you can't just get a Grammy for being there. Like, it's crazy. But then with production, right, you can't prove. Like, if I say my 3-year-old child, you know, produced the beat to Drake, what's next? Who knows? You can't tell me I'm lying. It's like, what? Are you calling this child a liar? Like, you're not going to do that, are you? It
just reminds me of DJ Khaled. I'm sure he must have had his son on like production credits by this point. Has he?
Yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's just like, let's just see it as like perfectly allowed. So, you know, so who's the youngest Grammy winner in history? Turns out it's like 3-year-old Sir Rumi Carter. That just makes sense, right? That just makes sense. It's like
nepotism at its finest. It's like by the time they've like finished school, doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter if they like flunk school. They leave school at 16 with a couple of Grammys.
And that makes you so employable. Regardless.
Well, I mean, they're going to get,
No, but just saying, like, even if it's just some regular guy, right? If someone says Grammy nominated, and it's like, what? Like, I mean, just to say that is crazy enough, let alone to win a fucking Grammy. Like, I mean, it's only until, like, some people don't look too far into, not every people, you think it's, like, common sense, right? But it's like, not everyone goes, oh, what do you win the Grammy for? Yeah. Like, people say, oh, you just win a Grammy, and they just run away with that. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say, I mean, I'll just say one more thing about the Grammys. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but like Alfredo not winning, it's not the biggest upset in the world. Guys, you need to relax. It's the best album there, don't be wrong. Yeah. But let's not act like King's Disease is like way down the floor and Alfredo's like, you know, touching the sky. Like, it's an okay win. I get why they did it. Yeah. I mean, it's stupid anyways, but like, you know, it's okay. It's okay, guys. Relax.
I mean, I'm just glad that A Written Test Me didn't win.
Oh yeah, Jay-Z going on with another Grammy? Nah. I mean, they already gave the, you know, their allocations to Beyonce.
Yeah, like, shout out Beyonce though. Now the highest number of Grammys for a female artist.
Yeah, no, shout out to her. But I mean, we also know that she will not attend if she's not going to win a Grammy.
That's true.
I mean, that is true, isn't it? Like, this is not going to happen. So, but shout out to her.
Yeah, go on. Might as well. So, I feel like you should give us a little bit of a rundown. I think last week we talked about you and your little mission to review an album every day of the week.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
give us a little update. Where are you up to today?
So, today I'm on day 15?
Mm-hmm.
15? Is that true? Black Star was 15, wasn't it?
You've been going 2 weeks, haven't you? Yeah, Black Star was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what number that was. I know that was 15, so I'm on number 16. So I'm on Lupe's one. It's been going really good so far. It's not too bad. I think I'm killing it. I think I'm doing it better than everyone else done it, to be honest. I'm giving you legit reviews, aren't I? And I'm doing it in 24 hours. But yeah, today I'm on Lupe's one. Do my review for that probably after this episode. I've got
Dragus Wave.
Go have probably another listen.
That is a long album.
It is long.
It's
like
so
it is
long. With all the skits and all the...
I mean, 24 songs, 98 minutes. Like, yeah. But this is why I feel like after the Tupac day, like, I was fine. Because if I can get through that is the longest day on the whole fucking thing. If I can get through that, then I'm fine. And I did it, right? So, I think this is the last long album I have for this challenge. So I think from down here, it should be blue skies. But it's been really good. I've definitely had some really banging albums. I'm gonna rank them actually. I didn't want to do this, but I'm actually gonna rank them. I'm gonna rank them at the end. I'm already started creating a playlist of like my favorite songs, and I'll release that once it's done. But no, I'm really enjoying it.
Good stuff. I keep getting upset that I gave up after like 2 days. I am gonna start again. I think next week or the week after. Maybe I'll wait till April the 1st, and it'll be like the month of April I'll do it.
Yeah,
because I made a list. I just didn't.
You know what you should do? Like, make it like a fun thing, right? Where it's like, they see, my side of like reviewing and modeling of music. Maybe the next month, then fuck it. We've had my month of tops. Let's have a month with Jon.
Give us Jon. That's what the people are asking.
Yeah, and it's a shorter month. It's a day less. It's a day less, Jon. giving you the layup. I mean, in other news, there's a couple other things I want to quickly mention. So they're back, Jon. They're back. Who are back? The Kaiyotes. Kaiyote are back.
They were on a hiatus, and now they're back.
I mean, they literally were, right? I mean, they haven't dropped an album in like 6 years. So they dropped a new single. I will say I haven't heard it. I'm savouring it.
Ooh, but I've listened.
I know their album's coming out pretty soon, I believe.
That was exciting.
So yeah, how
I thought they'd just like dropped off the face of the earth and were not making music together anymore. Because obviously Napalm released her... one of the songs like Crossfire. I think I loved that song. But she released a solo project, and I was like, that's probably the way it's going. But then just totally out of the blue, I saw you retweet it or something, I think, and then I saw various other blogs being like, they're back. Good song. I think it. Yeah, I don't know. It spells good things for the album. But yeah, that's one of the big surprises I think of the year so far.
100%. I think like when you make your list of who you think is going to drop in a year, I'm definitely not thinking Hiatus Kaiyote, not by a long shot. So, and
for a group as well that like just 2 albums, they're like a household name.
Yeah,
they're just like legendary.
Yeah, it's because they're so heavily sampled. Like for a group, like it's actually kind of bonkers, like how much they've been sampled in such a short space of time because. I think it was Drake who sampled. Everyone sampled them essentially. Anderson .Paak, Drake, Kendrick. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like so many big people have sampled them, and it was very soon after they dropped. So it was 2015. You gotta remember Drake came out with More Life.
And then Damn was like 2017.
Damn, Malibu was 2016 as well. So like literally, it feels like everyone just kind of like got the memo straight away. It's like this is the one. It's weird because there's some people who are like. They think it's amazing. They think it's like fucking fantastic. And you got some people that's okay. Like it's okay. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I first listened to the album, I did not for 1 second. I've said this about Anna Wise, but this one, I truly did not for a second think it was just a bunch of white lads. I didn't. So when I saw Nathan, I was like, is she taking the piss with it? Like, I walked for a second, like, is she actually kind of taking the piss? Because there's no way she sounds like that. Like, I mean, Dora, she's got a good voice. I was like, is she putting it on? Like, what is this? Like, is this like some backwards appropriation? Like, I don't really understand. But the songs are all right. Like, there's some bangers there, but not every song's a banger. But there's some bangers there. I know. What do you think of Choose Your Weapon?
Good. Yeah. No, amazing. I just think I can't get out of my head now that you're saying about the whole like didn't think they looked like this. I must have shown you that video of the singer Bobby Caldwell.
Yeah, What You Won't Do for Love. Yeah,
hilarious. 100%. Yeah, when you like first watch the video of him, and you're like, hold on a second. Hold on.
Wait, he's not an actor. That's him.
That's him. I don't watch reaction videos that often, but the one of this guy, like watching it, and he just like paused the video and just like turns and like stares at the camera. He's like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?"
Oh man, I mean, no, there's talent in that, but yeah, also I'm pretty sure Dave Harvey is like a huge lover of like soul and funk and all that. But it was like a bit of like, what the fuck for a second. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know if there's any. I mean, do you really want to talk about Drake being top 3 in the charts?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, shout, it's a records, but yeah, just drop the album and then we can talk.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna do a quick shout. This will literally be like 30 seconds. Chance, he came back. He did come back. He is back, and he's looking good. I was gonna say we said it on episode, I think it was 13, and you didn't have no faith. I said he could do it. I don't believe in skill vampires just coming.
You know what it was?
In the night.
I knew, given the timing, I knew he'd be listening to this episode. And he would take that as a challenge, and he's responded so quickly, which is
he's a good lad. So he's good. Yeah,
shout out Chance. I know you're listening.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. All right, let's just do the artist spotlight, man. Let's do it.
Jesse James Solomon.
Yeah, go on, talk to me about him.
So I think I came across him probably like 2018. So it was around the time he dropped his Strata EP. I think I was just in one of those like looking around Spotify, looking on playlists and stuff. Just came across his song with Kaiyote. And Under the Sun. I was just like, it felt like such a unique song at the time.
Yes.
Like the 100%. Sound was just very, like for all his kind of like laid back like production or like laid back vocals and stuff, like it's actually really well produced stuff that he's putting out. So I think I was immediately drawn to that. I mean, I've always loved jazz rap, and he's kind of like towing that line of kind of chilled cow lo-fi production with like his kind of flow over the top of it.
No, for sure.
But I think go on.
Yeah, I think also interesting about Jesse as well is that if you've obviously, I don't expect anyone to fucking know this, right? Because he's an underground artist, but way back when, he never actually took up the slow rapping style. He was one of those like, regular rappers. Like he was never moody. He was like a, kind of like a street rapper. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that he kind of noticed the pivot and he was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this and adopt this kind of style and realize it works for him. That is a sign of a very mature artist. For you to realize, look, I'm actually not that great at this. I'm just gonna sound like everyone else. Let me do this, and this is kind of like my bag. So so it was, and that was like, I think if you go on his YouTube, there's a video called Lionel Jesse where he's just kind of rapping it, and it's completely different. It's like almost not the same guy. Do you know what I mean? Like his hair is even short. It has no like dreads or anything like that. It's fucking weird. But same with you. Like the Spotify algorithm gods put Under the Sun on my list like it might be more than a few years ago now, probably like 4 years ago now. I heard Under the Sun, and I think what's so good about that song, it's a good balance between that moodiness, and I can't remember who the feature was, but it balances out. Yeah, the balances out so fucking well because it's just and the cover for the Strata EP, it's like London at night as well. It feels like that. And
the fact he painted it as well.
Oh, did he really?
And he painted the cover for
World?
Bleak, the second EP.
Bleak. Oh, okay,
he painted both of them.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And obviously, like the Strata building is just like the symbol of gentrification in South London, right? Like, no, literally, the fact he's from like Elephant and Castle. Now even more relevant, seeing as like, again, it's just being changed so much. What is it, the big, what's the name of the building?
I can't remember. It's also like mini...
the one with like the elephant on top.
Oh, Elephant and Castle? Oh, the building? The shopping centre?
Yeah. The fact that that's kind of...
Yeah. It's all gone, They took out... Yeah, that was a big moment.
Yeah.
But he's from like... I don't know how much you know about Southwark Boroughs. Also, he's from Walworth, which is a place like it's not Elephant and Castle, but it's very close, isn't it? But I know what you mean. But yeah, it's just I mean, I didn't know he painted that, to be honest, but yeah, yeah, I think he's found a good balance right now in terms of like he knows he can still talk about like quote unquote street shit, but he's adding like the streets, no pun intended, aesthetic to that. I mean, yeah, what do you think about it? Do you kind of see it as like he's just ripping off Mike Skinner, or do you feel like, oh no, actually this is like a nice little like throwback to that kind of aesthetic?
I enjoy it because there's not a lot of the Mike Skinner type music around at the moment. If any, like the guy is just incredibly unique. Like probably one of the most unique voices. Like you put him on, immediately you know who it is. Yeah, immediately you know, just because of like his dialect and his like intonation and his flow and stuff. But yeah, I enjoy it. Like go for it. I guess he's still kind of figuring things out because the 2 EPs, Stratum Bleak, there's a bit of differentiation, but there's not a huge amount of like maybe growth or like change. So, I think the next EP. You're frowning. Do you see a lot of change in it?
No, I don't. No, I agree. But I was thinking, what could he do to kind of take to the next level? But I think the thing about that sound as well, and Mike Skinner, if you listen to the Streets album that came out last year, pretty good actually. But when you have that type of aesthetic, you are heavily reliant on features because there's only so long people are gonna put up with that shit. Yeah. And I feel like he does put out songs by himself, but I feel like he has to have more features. And I think it'll work really well, but he can't do a whole project by himself. And I think if he attempts that, I think that's when things go left. And I think what's really weird about him as well, like he's dropped a shit ton of singles last year, like a shit ton.
Yeah,
I don't know if he dropped quite a few, right? And then obviously, and you had the Bleak EP as well. So I feel like the songs I like more are the songs where he's with other people, because he just balances out that aesthetic for me. So like songs like Haze is a fucking banger with Samwise. Oh, that is a fucking banger. So yeah, I think he just needs to find that niche of people who's like, okay, cool, we can work well. Or even more of a hype artist. I think if he does that more, I don't know if he produces for himself. I'm not too sure.
Well, no. So on the Bleak EP, he had this guy producing called Kieran Kai, who has a song. He just released an EP, I think it was the end of last year or the start of this year, with a song in it that Skepta produced, actually, called Passports. So, no, he's definitely, like, Jesse James Sullivan, like, he's been around for a while. He's definitely, like, he's, like, got contacts here and there, because he's kind of in that, like, Jesse, Kaiyote, there's a lot of them in that kind of group. Yeah. So, I guess it's about, like leveling up a bit, like getting a producer from, I don't know, shout out Emil if you're listening, like get Emil on production or something.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
and like it could be 100% be some really good stuff.
For sure.
So I think production, like really leveling up with the production, could be no shade to Kieran Kai. It's great, but I mean really taking it to the next level.
Take him out of his comfort zone in a sense.
Yeah, challenging him, I think.
Yeah.
Because Kieran Kai and him work well together, but I think he needs a bit of a...
I mean, that's a problem, especially when you have like an in-house producer or you produce for yourself, because you're never going to change your sound. Like Nux is never going to change his sound because he produced for himself. Same to like with Earl Sweatshirt. Like when you're in that pocket, you just feel like, I know what I sound good on, so I'm going to build that. It's like, you don't know what could be, like, you don't know what you could rap on. That's what I feel like the possibility is what needs to tantalize you. And I think he would do really well on that, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll take a short break and then we will be back with some more incredible music takes for you.
Of course. No worries. All right. See you in a bit. Right. We're back. And like in medieval times, John, right? When people kind of get caught for their crimes, it's not just a thing where, nowadays, like, people understand, the concept of like grace and shame and stuff like that, and the effects that might have on like the mental psyche. So it's not like, you're just going to try and humiliate someone. I mean, if you're not a cunt, right, you're not going to try and humiliate someone in public if they do a crime. You kind of, you put handcuffs on them, take them to the station, and then, you deal with them there.
You're not going to walk them through the streets of London.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's not going to be like Game of Thrones where Cersei, you walk around naked and people are like, shame, and then they ring the bell and they dash shit at you.
Some would argue certain crimes you should bring that back, but that's for another day.
No, this is for today, John.
Oh, that's for today.
You're absolutely right. So, I feel like there's been a crime in the music industry lately, John, and that is the concept of a deluxe album. Right, so I think there's certain people who just been getting away with it for far too long, and I feel like there needs to be more
accountability.
More of an outcry, because the level, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind the deluxe, especially for albums I like, but the volume of deluxe albums coming out right now,
I'm with you.
It is fucking obnoxious. Like, I don't think I've ever seen shit like this in my lifetime. I've never seen shit like this. So the majority of this episode, we're going to be talking about, like, you know, deluxe albums, streamings. Should they even count? Yeah, we're going to go there and all that stuff. But I wanted to kind of start off with this because I think it kind of leads into the whole problem with, I guess, the music industry right now. So yeah, what do you think of that, the deluxe mania?
I'm with you. I think there are two types of it as well. Like, we've obviously got, you know, like the Weeknd, Dua Lipa, artists that have released within the last like 12, 14 months. They come out with a deluxe, and there are like 3-4 extra tracks, and like, this didn't need a deluxe album. You could have Chloe and Halle as well, as much as we love them. You know, talk to me about that. But like, you've dropped like 3 or 4 extra tracks. I don't know what was the point. You're clearly doing it for streaming, for sales. We're going to get onto that. It's a crime that you just released a whole new project, like a whole extended project for that. If you want, just release some like B-sides. Like, I'm okay with that. I don't love it because they're often not that great, but just release a little B-sides, a little, like, if they're good enough, release an Untitled and Masters if you can do it. Kendrick did it. If you can't do it, then maybe don't try. But then on the other side of that, you've got, two of my favourite artists, two of your favourite artists, Freddie Gibbs, Madlib. 7 years after they've released Pinata, they came and had the audacity to release 81 tracks, 3 hours, 50 minutes of God's minutes.
You know what? That one doesn't make any fucking sense as well. Like, imagine that. No, literally imagine it, right? Literally imagine it. So, let's say, right, yeah, you're dating someone, right? You're talking, and it's like, okay, cool, it's going right. You're like, what are we? And it's like, he's thinking, he's like, I'll get back to you on that. And obviously, the person never gets back, and okay, cool, life's moved on. And then 7 years later, it's like, actually...
Yeah, it's like it's left on like red on Snapchat. Yeah. 7 years later,
he's like, actually, fair enough. I actually want to give it a go. It's like, what? A whole world has passed. Like, probably 7 years ago, like, people were even using Spotify like that. Like, 7 years ago, bloody J. Cole was sitting on the roof of his old house trying to bring back the old feeling.
We were at school.
Yeah, like, literally. I know.
I was first finding out about that Piff. Like, things were different.
That one, it has to be the most egregious attempt at extra streams I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just disrespectful. 5 CDs on it. A couple of the CDs are just like remixes from some guy called Alex. What was it, Alex Goose or something? I bet they don't even fucking know who it is, mate. They don't know. There's like, what, a good 70 songs, right?
81.
Something like 81 songs, my guys. 81 songs. That's the thing with albums, they are intended to listen to. Even Chris Brown's looking at that as like, fuck it, even
Chris Brown's like, I need to step my game up.
You know, it's like, he's like, can never be me though. Can never be me. Yeah. You know, even he's looking at that like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
has Kendrick Lamar even released 81 tracks in his career? Probably not.
Probably not, you know. Yeah, that's a good point. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And Dorian John, you know me. Like, I'm never just gonna like let these people just, you know, I'm gonna comment on it and just let it go. No, I came here with a list. Of course, I came here with a list. So I'm gonna. And
I knew you were gonna bring a list. Yeah, you're like a teacher reading out the detention list. You guys are staying behind.
And I'm taking these kids to fucking school, mate. So let's start off right. So like you said, Chloe and Halle. And one thing as well, it's like that's how you know they think fans are literally just bird brain, because I feel like there's two types of deluxe people. The ones who will just call it deluxe and be like, fuck it, you know, times are hard, it's COVID. And you've got the people who try to like word it to make it out like it's something completely different. And you have so let's start with Chloe and Halle, right? They called it Crow Edition. What the fuck does that even mean? What the fuck does that even mean? What does Chrome have to do with Ungodly Hour? Fuck all. But let's keep going. So you have that one, right? Then you have Heady One with Edna with the coffee stained
Didn't like
album
it.
art. When they changed the colours, I was like, what? That's the Heady One. The reason why that one's so fucking annoying. We did the Heady One review in November.
Yeah.
The album only came out like a few months ago. No one does that in real life. No one drops a deluxe a few months after the album comes out because it distracts from the album. So how's your album like a fucking extra chewing gum that's ran out already and you want to put out a fucking deluxe? Like the album just got here. Anyways, let's move on. Ariana Grande, she dropped a deluxe for her album. Whatever, pop singer, I expect you to do that bullshit. But what? That's the thing, like, let's just make this clear, right? With deluxes, it's not that having deluxe is bad. It's that most of the time, it's either A, premeditated, so it was always going to come out, and that's fair enough, because, you can have throwaways. Or two, the album is so critically acclaimed, you just have a deluxe maybe like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. No one has a fucking deluxe album 3 months later. That's too soon. Or 7 years later. That's too far away. But let's keep going. So I just want people to have that in mind. Dua Lipa, she's another one of those people who try to 200 IQ people. So I need to find the
Moonlight
name.
Edition.
Yeah, like what?
Moonlight Edition.
Anyways, that one. We've talked about Pinata. Lil Durk, The Voice. This album just came out 2020, my guy. Why haven't deluxe? Anyways, I mean, no one gives a fuck, but Eminem, Music to be Murdered By, but he called it Side B.
Side B.
I don't know if you know this, Eminem, but vinyls come with two sides in general. So you actually don't, that's actually not a Side B. You fucked up your own album rollout, whatever. Anyways, the next one is Nav. I know no one gives a fuck about Nav. I don't give a fuck about it, but this one is not only did Nav drop 2 albums last year, which is already more Nav than anyone ever needs in their life. He dropped 2 deluxes to both of those albums, mate. Like,
I know you've reasoned why he exists to me before for people on drugs, but his music is so naff. It's just so boring. It's monotonous. And I can say this because someone will go away and be like, "Oh, well, if you literally disagree with me right now, or you've never heard of him, you're being a bit harsh. Go away, sit through a whole song, and tell me you're not bored."
They can't, mate.
Pin drop. It's awful. So anyway, he's released one. The Weeknd.
He's like a worse version of Russ. Like, anyways, who the fuck gives a fuck?
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd has the deluxe as well.
Yeah.
Again, fuck you.
How many extra songs on it?
I don't know actually. I'm not an avid listener to The Weeknd these days. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. But Bryson Tiller, so he waited 5 years. Not 5 years. Is it 5 years? No, he did an anniversary of his Trap Soul album, 5-year anniversary, right? Yeah. And then you drop a deluxe like 2 months later. Like, I know no one fucking listens to you, Bryson, but come on, even back yourself a little bit.
It's called The Highlights, The Weeknd's extra is called The Highlights. Oh wait, no. What is this? Oh, it's all his best songs. What?
Oh, it's like a best of. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's got like Earned It, Love Me Harder, The Hills.
Okay.
Good compilation. We'll give
fair enough. You can take that one. I mean, the last one I have here, again, most people don't give a fuck. So Young Dolph, he has the deluxe of his Rich Slave, which again came out this year. So this is where we're going right now with music, right? So if anyone thinks this is just not something to complain about, there's many reasons. One, I'll start with a petty personal reason, because why not? When I listen to my Spotify music, right, I always have the end of year list in mind. So when I listen to, for example, Edna, I want the Edna songs to be on my end of year. I don't want to listen to Edna, then have to go and listen to the deluxe, and then maybe I listen to the whole deluxe album through, and now I have 2 versions of fucking Ain't It Different on my Spotify when it didn't need to be that way. Just didn't need to be that way.
You're very strategic.
I am.
I don't think about my year-end review.
No, but I'm very petty. I hate the idea of having 2 versions of the same song on my fucking end of year list when I could have just had one, and that's what deluxe albums ruin. Especially when you delete the old album or you add 2 extra albums. Like, do you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. Why you have 2 albums that are basically the same thing? That doesn't make any sense to me.
So it's upset you because it's ruined the aesthetic of
your
Spotify rap.
That's one reason. 2,
that is petty.
we're not going to just act, right? We're not going to act like being a musician in 2021 still isn't a privileged job role. You actually don't have to do this, one. And I promise you, most of the artists I listed there do not need the money. It's just greed. And that rubs me the wrong way as well. It's like, especially Chloe and Halle, like, I rate you guys, but like, why did you need to add 2 extra songs? Just drop those as fucking singles, mate. Now, why do I have to now rack up streams on an album I'm never going to listen to just listen to 2 fucking extra songs? Like, that don't make no sense. Just drop the singles, move on with your life. That's fine. Like, it just ruins the whole, like, when you look back at history, you're like, because the thing is, most people starve in their brain, right? Like, if you go back in history and you look at Deluxe, you're like, oh, right, so this album was so good, it got Deluxe. Like, okay, cool. But you're not going to think that now. You're not going to think, oh, it's a money grab. No,
everyone releases a Deluxe now, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so that's like my reasons, right? So it fucks up with my playlist, which that's a personal.
That's reason. A personal gripe.
Yeah. 2, I just think it's fucking greedy. Like it's fucking greedy, and it's so contrived, and it's just I just feel like it shows a big lack of integrity, and I know that might not mean a lot to people, but I just think for me it's just like this is the problem with. Like with music, it's such a clear game now, especially numbers wise. And I think people they're just like, fuck it, we'll just fuck with the numbers. Like, and I think that's just the part that runs in the wrong way. What do you think?
Well, I agree with all your points there. I think it's important to give a bit of like, I want to get into like a bit of context of like what streaming is. Yeah. So, and like why the extended plays. Like I think we can get into a little bit of like, the way that music has changed, the way that streaming's changed, like the mixtape or the EP, like we'll get to that. But I think, it's worth like looking at what streaming actually gives money wise. So like just some facts and figures for people at home, like, cause it makes sense, right? So the RIAA, so like the American Phonographic Organization, whatever. So their streaming services grew 20% in 2019. And streaming services accounted for like 80% of all music revenues, which is mad. So I think like then moving towards what actual like streams means money wise. So it might be a bit of a stats overload, but okay, £1 worth of Spotify revenue is equal to 357 streams. So you have to have a song. 30 seconds counts as one stream, right? So you have to have that 357 streams of your songs or a song for £1. That's a bag of Haribo, right? So 3 examples, right? 3 artists. One's kind of a small artist, one's kind of medium size, one's biggest artist in the world, right? So we've got George. He was our spotlight artist the other week. We think he's amazing, right? Like we think he has great music. He's really on the up and up. But his project, right? A whole album, 1.2 million streams across that album. That is equivalent to £3,500. That is mad. Yeah, and then you take the cutaways because he's not getting 100% revenue, right?
Yeah, of course.
All the hands are coming out there. So once that's filtered down to him, maybe over £1,000, £2,000 at the most, if he's in a good contract with just one person above him. That's actually crazy. Gets, conflict of interest, huge album. 14 million streams across the album. He's getting 40 grand like revenue. Say he took all the money home, that's 40 grand. And then this is where it just like jumps up crazy, and you're like, how are like good artists struggling to make a living? And then how are The Weeknd, his After Hours album, you can have a little guess here, how many streams across the whole album?
Probably I'd say a couple billion.
5 billion streams, and that's £11 million. Jeez. Obviously, he's not taken home 100%. I don't know, maybe he's taken home 40%. So that's what?
5 million.
5 million. And that's Spotify, counting Apple, counting physical sales. So this is why it's changed the game, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah, and also it's been a problem for a long time, right? Like artists just dropping longer and longer albums. And it's like, again, because they think a lot of their fans are fucking stupid, and in reality they are, but sorry, just to say it, but like, so they think if we just slip this song here that we definitely don't care about, we'll just slap it in the middle of the track listing, no one's really gonna think that's just a throwaway. It's like, nope, that 100% is a throwaway. Like, obviously Chris Brown's very open with it, like, you know, he has no cutting floor. But also people like Migos, I think people were pretty disappointed by that. I mean, Drake obviously loves doing that shit. So stuff like that, it's like people just feel like, oh, I could just drop a 13-track album and that will do, and that may be, you know, that will be critically acclaimed. But I actually get more money if I just drop a 20-track record, even if it's not that great. And the fact that that's a decision is just, it just shows how bad we've come. So that's already a problem. But now with the deluxe thing, whereas I can literally get the revenue twice over.
Yeah.
That's the part that is like, how that, surely there should be some sort of rules and regulations behind that.
Yeah, 100%. Because that, I mean, as we've said, unless it used to be like a privileged thing, like the 2-pack, you know, extended it, or like 2-pack. He did an extended edition, right? Like Biggie did one, and like that was it was a privilege. It was like oh my days, we're going to get some more tracks from him. This is so exciting. But now, you know, it's a money move, right? And you were saying a lot of it's premeditated. But I guess it's crazy how, like, we've got, as we said, like 80% of music revenue comes from streaming. Like, it's crazy actually how we've got to this stage, because like 10, 15 years ago, like the music industry and like record labels were like losing against like illegal streaming, weren't they? Like it was crazy. Like, you know, Spotify, Apple Music, all this wasn't like around. It was like people were illegally downloading off like Napster or like using all these kind of things. I mean, do you have any idea how they did it? It's the same as like film streaming, right? Like everyone's paying for Netflix.
Yeah, I mean,
whereas you'd used to just like watch on like Putlocker and be like, I'm just going to settle for this crap quality because I want to see the new Star Wars. I want to see the new whatever film, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's why when people make the argument of, oh, like, you know, artists were making way more money back then compared to now. Some of them were. If you talk about the biggest artists in the genre, yes, 100%. But you have to remember, like, none of you were buying fucking Soulja Boy albums. None of you were doing that. Like, that's the amount of people who actually went out and bought that is crazy, because there's probably even way more people who just got that shit off LimeWire. So yeah, it was in dire straits because it was just so easy, especially when like shit like YouTube came out, and obviously people had YouTube converters. So I can just convert a song from YouTube, slap down my phone, you know, my Sony Ericsson, for example, if I can go about my day, or someone can just Bluetooth me a song. There's no type of like restrictions to that as well. So yeah, like I think people think, like that's the thing, I think if people really think it through, it's not like you weren't listening to music 10, 15 years ago. You just got it for free. You never gave it a second thought, because no one did. Did. So I think streaming just came in. It was like, right, you know, same with most companies, right? When a company is like it's like the third wheel that doesn't like being the third wheel for too long. It's like, damn, there's too much money being made here and I'm not involved. So how can I ruin this party? Like, that's literally what it is, right? So then obviously Spotify, like also Spotify's been around for a while, Napster's been around for a while, but I mean, people thought, you know what, it's probably better if we just rent the music to them instead of telling them to buy them, because maybe, you know, I think one thing people realize as well is that the younger generation push music more than anyone else. Like the people who are streaming the music the most are not like your 40-year-olds who have the money to buy music. They're going to buy albums regardless. It's the 16-year-olds who will start a trend or start a dance off these things. Do you know what I mean? So I think they realized that, and it's like, fuck it, let's just rent out the music to them, which is what we do with Spotify, with Apple Music, and just take the revenues from that. And it's worked, and it's been a great model. And I think if you ask record labels, they probably hate this more. For being honest, they probably hate this more, because with record labels, it's not like they're getting more money than before. Their artists get more exposure. I think the artist, I think both the artists and the record labels, like the artist wins more in the long run, especially if you're independent. But that's the problem, right? Now you can go independent.
If you're if you're independent, because it, like the way it works, like you're talking about, like, you didn't say explicitly, but like TikTok trends like can make an artist just like blow. But even blowing like and getting 10 million or like say like 50 million streams on your music on Spotify, that's what, like not even £1 million, like that's maybe 100,000-200,000 pounds. And then you're like, damn, what next? So like I guess it's a balance. You could look at it as like, as we said, we had 3 examples, like George Gets Weekend, each on a completely different tier of the like pie, right? Like same as you see, like if we compare it to politics, right? So you've got like the upper class, like the billionaires. There's such a few of them. That's like what Drake, Weeknd, like Taylor Swift, Dua Lipa, Bieber, like a few of them at the top. And then you've got like a fat middle tier of like the middle class, and then you've got like the real like lower class who are like really struggling. That's like the new artists, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just a tough one because it's like, yes, there's exposure and there's the chance that they could get onto one of these playlists on Spotify, or they can get into like, you know, hot tracks this week and then they'll blow. But at the same time, because, you know, they get like not even, what is it, like a hundredth of a penny per stream. Whereas if they had blown in real life like 10 years ago, that's £1 for a song, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
I mean, I guess, that kind of begs the age-old question, right? Do you feel like these streams should be counting towards a sale?
It's a tough one. Like, yes, but yes, you should, but it's a question of like how you equate it. Because like at the moment, it's something like 100 to 1. It's like 100 streams is one sale, and if you're like promoted, your song's promoted, it's like 600 to 1. So it's about who does that work for? Like it obviously works for the huge artists, but for the small artists, it doesn't help them at all to even make a living off that, right? So it's about how you kind of apportion that. I don't know, man. It's a difficult one to think about.
No, for sure. Like, I kind of get what you're saying. I mean, I think for me, I thought I was more on one side than the other, and I think now it's kind of flipped as I've gotten older. So yes, I think streaming is really good because it gives you exposure to a lot of new artists, right? You know, definitely get more into that later on in the episode. But yeah, definitely gives you a lot more exposure to some of these new artists and all of that stuff. But obviously, the problem is, like, the amount of times I need to stream something just to be, like, equivalent to maybe even 10 sales is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, yeah, so that's the problem now. It's like, with becoming an artist now, you can't just become an artist. You got to like sell merch as well, or you have to tour. Like there's no choice. You have to tour. You have to do a lot of features, get money that way, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? You have to. You can't just be a musician. Whereas before, you just being a rapper or a singer, that was enough. That's your job, and that's gonna get you the money. Even if you didn't tour like that, just album sales would just be enough, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what I've realized lately, right, and I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it, and we're just going to kick off here, right? The reason why I can see a world in which streaming doesn't count and I'm not bothered is because really and truly, at a final age of 25, if I like an artist enough, I should put my money where my mouth is. I think people have gotten way too far with free content, and now you have a bunch of people who don't fucking know music, but now it's like, oh, Spotify recommends you all this random niche artist, and now they feel like they can talk music for days, and then no, you can't. No, like this thing, like that. I think now it's artificially fucked up some scenes, which I'll get into later. But I think that's my problem with it, right? It's like now it's like you kind of put a lot of these artists on a pedestal. In reality, you would never buy that record. You would never buy that single because deep down, you know it's not good. You like it because it's free. Like there's certain food, like you would never buy it, but it's the monkey nuts from Five Guys. They're free. You eat it every time. If someone said that's actually £5 for a bag of those, you're like, what? I'm not feeling those today, mate. Like you wouldn't eat it, but because it's free, you have it every time you go to Five Guys. It's fucking amazing, isn't it? So I think that's the problem as well. Like I feel like we get so happy for these like up and coming artists who are getting like recognition, but I truly feel like the ones who were gonna make it were gonna make it. The ones who are underground or the ones who weren't gonna make it, they weren't gonna make it anyways because I don't know. I just don't believe that there's like some underground artists no one's ever heard of, and they're so good that no one would have bought their record if they never won Spotify. I just don't believe that. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I think streaming can still be there. That's the thing. That's one thing I don't understand as well, because people listen to songs on YouTube all the fucking time. YouTube doesn't count, and no one ever complains about that. But why
it does? But it's a minuscule amount.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost negligible, right?
Yeah.
So I think Spotify should be the same. Like, fair enough. I get in a sense you pay for it, but even Spotify is fucking free, and that counts. It counts. It's different to pay.
You're not going to change the culture of like people. It's like it's only going up. Like the streaming services are only becoming more popular, right?
100%, and it's definitely more practical. It's definitely more practical than having like fucking 200 CDs in your house. But it doesn't even have to be that way. It could just be a thing where we take it back to basics, like an iTunes and stuff like that. Like, where, you know what, fair enough, look, I already spend £10 a month for my Spotify, right? So let's say instead of that, I just buy an album every month. I don't need to listen to fucking 200 artists a month. If I listen to one album a month, I'm fine with that. Like, how much music is there anyways?
But you're in a minority.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But I think because of what's happening with the streaming, it's fucked up the game now. Because now you have exposure. That's the thing. Everyone thinks they have this like mad palette, right? Because you go on your Spotify daily mix, for example. I don't know how to keep around Spotify, like if you've not used Apple Music, but whatever. Like you go on your daily mixes or whatever, right? You listen to all these like new artists you had never heard of based on the algorithm. And then now you left thinking, oh, I've got this diverse music taste, listen to everything. But it's like, really and truly, would you go to that guy's concert? No. Would you buy that disc? You would never do it. You would never. You buy any of their merch? You would never do it. You would never do it. So now it's like we just accept it because we know it's basically free. It's basically free. And if it wasn't, I feel like our attention to music would be completely rewired. Rewired.
So I get I get what you mean. It's definitely like dulled our like ability to actually see real talent because everything's there. And another thing, obviously, that like streaming services has done in the way that like it's changed. We've said it's changed artists' behavior. It's obviously changed our behavior, right? Because you have the whole like mood music, right? Or you have all these kind of playlists where, it's like I think mood music playlists and like the way Spotify have done it have kind of, you know, I feel like they've ruined it for a lot of small artists because you're listening to a playlist, right? And you're going to have 50 songs on there by 50 different artists, and the artist is going to get 0.0028 of a pound, right? They're not even going to get a penny from your one listen. So yes, it kind of broadens your horizons as a listener, but it doesn't do anything for the kind of medium to small time artists. And like you go and listen to an album, they have 10 chances to make that pound, but you just listen to them on like a mood playlist, which is what most people do, right? Because most of people's listening during the day is like, I'm going to put on study playlist and I'm going to listen to 150 songs just throughout the day. I'm not actually going to listen, but it's going to be on in the background. Yeah. So I think, streaming's definitely changed our like, you can see it as a good thing because we're always listening to music, but it's a bad thing because we're not actually like fine tuning into it. And that 100%. Has obviously the effect of like not actually benefiting the artists.
100%. Like, I think that's my issue, right? Like, I think people feel like, oh, but you know, like, I think there will still be a vinyl collective, guys, if there was no streaming. Like that, like, I say that right now. Like, just because, like, you don't need. I think people are just so used to either new music coming. I think music will still come out all the time. And if you wanted to talk about, for example, the new Silk Sonic single, you just fucking buy it. Like you just buy it for like it's just £1. Like I don't know why people are acting like music was just like this inaccessible like monolith back in the day. It's like, you know, only if you had money you could buy albums. Like people just listened to less music, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that is a good thing, but maybe the way we look at artists would be different. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you know, I wanted to kind of like leave it for a while, but I think I'll just kind of get into it now. The one biggest benefactor of streaming right now is the UK music scene, especially hip hop. Because I promise you now, John, we both know it. Half of these guys would not get a single pound from any of these guys. And that's the thing, we always say this, right? There are some good rappers in the UK, but let's not get crazy. Like 95% of them are mediocre at best. At best. So I don't know why we are even entertaining the fact just because they've got like 600,000 streams to 1 million streams that there's some competent artists that we're all gonna go watch out for. It's gonna like take the world by storm. No, they're fucking not. They're not that good. Some of them are shit. And if you didn't have Spotify, you would not listen to their music. It just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Someone like Jay Huss, it was always going to happen because his songs are legitimately good. You hear them in the club, you're like, oh my gosh, I need that on my phone. Oh, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Like, look back in history. Like, I know people are going to be like, oh, but Tops, look, that the UK music scene. There were so many good people back in the day. They just never got their recognition. The good ones did. Let's not lie. Chipmunk got his recognition. Tiny Temper got his recognition. So did Wiley. So did Dizzy Rascal. Yeah. So did Skepta. Streaming didn't come in until 2015, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know why people are acting like the UK.
No, it must
UK
be before then. Before then, I had Spotify in like 20.
No, but streamers didn't count until 2015.
Didn't they?
Yeah,
really?
It didn't count until 2015. So I don't know why people are acting like before then the UK music was just just on its knees, just begging for a penny. No, it wasn't. Like, we had a bona fide scene. Sneak Bow was fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Even J House and Mostat came out before 2015. Like, they were fine. There were still ways to get known and gain popularity without just having to, stream them all the time.
And their popularity came from like the like they weren't getting like 0.2 of a penny, like that. Sales were sales.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And that's another fucking thing as well. So don't get me wrong, right? And maybe I'm just being like a little Grinch today, but I don't.
You're angry this episode, but it's okay. Let it out.
I don't give a shit, right? Any artist that's going platinum or diamond now, it needs to have an asterisk on it, because you're not going to tell me a single right now. Don't get me wrong, I love Sicko Mode. Sicko Mode's a fucking banger, but you cannot compare that going diamond to a song 10 years ago going diamond. It's
like the Fugees finally going diamond.
Yeah. It's not the same. It will never be the same. And all these, and that also includes older albums going diamond when they never would have in another world. That also counts as well, because in a regular arts world, that is not diamond. What? And it's just, there's so many weird things about the way a sale is rated, because if I listen, so for example, like you said, right? If I listen to an album, right, but I only like one song, if I listen to that song 10 times, that counts as an album sale. Yeah. Wait, what? What the fuck? Like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? Yeah. So I don't even have to listen to the whole album to get an album sale. In what world does that even make any sense?
Not at all. Not at all. And this is what a lot of this boils down to, right?
Yeah.
Like, the way it's going to impact, it's going to incentivize different, artists that are really popular, artists that are not very popular, to do different things, right? The artists that are not very popular, that are getting like 10, 20, 30,000 streams on each song, right? They're going to be incentivized to make less albums, because they're like, well, I'm probably going to go on a playlist somewhere, so let's just make one banging radio hit. And the big artists are like, I just need to maximize sales, because I'm going to, like, The Weeknd, right, I'm going to make like a 15-track album, or Chris Brown, I'm going to make 50 tracks, because as long as everyone listens to one song, like each song once, I'm going to blow. So there's no quality control for the big artists, and the smaller artists are like, they're what's the word, like de-incentivized, because they know they're going to end up on like a mood playlist, and that people are going to hear one track, and on that one track they're going to judge, am I going to go listen to them again?
100%. Yeah.
Which is why it's like a gold mine, where you find like a smaller artist on Spotify where you're like, this is a banging 8-track EP, I need to follow their journey. Because a lot of artists that you're like, oh, they're the hottest new thing in UK hip hop, they have 2 songs, or like they have one song and they've blown, and you're like, they're the best thing to hit the UK. I'm like, they had one good track, like Let's Relax and wait for the EP, or wait for the studio album, because it's not going to drop. They're going to go 3 years and not drop one.
Exactly.
And they're going to keep giving you hits after hits after hits.
Like, the most ridiculous example of that is fucking Millions has been around for how many years and still has no album. And the thing is, because it literally makes no financial sense for them to have an album, that should never be the case in the real music world. How you are an artist with damn nearly no songs, because it's more cost effective to just be a feature. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Like, and I fully agree with what you said before, because again, some of these cats, man, like, how many that's the thing, people can't even vet one-hit wonders anymore, because because it's on Spotify. So it's like, you hear it on the daily mix. It's got like, I've seen it with so many of these artists, John, where their number 1 rated song will have like 6 million streams, and then their second song, the literal second song, will have like 200,000 streams. It's like, Come on, you're meant to tell me this is an artist everyone fucking cares about. No, there's a difference between having a hot song and being a hot artist. Two very, very different things. And so even people we spoke about on the show, there's certain people where people will be like, and they've even sent it to us, John. You know what I mean? I'll send you after. People are like, everyone needs to listen to this. Like, this is the next hot thing. I'm like, I mean, it's okay. Like, what? Like, and then that thing is because, like, these like mini labels and agents, they see the hype, right? So then these people get signed off of one song, which will always happen, right? But in real life, that career is short-lived. You wouldn't put as much money behind them. Yeah. You wouldn't fucking throw them on a Colours show because they had one fucking good song. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the point we're getting to right now, and it just doesn't make any sense. The whole scene is upside down.
You're not going to get J. Cole waiting outside of Jay-Z's office with this little mixtape anymore, are you? Like, it's mad. And that's why, news for everyone. I've decided to finally put my money where my mouth is, buy a record player. Everything's arrived. It's all very exciting. I can finally legitimately call myself a co-host of the Vinyl Collective. But yeah, I mean, again, shout out to our Spotlight series. That's why, the first few weeks, you can kind of ignore them. They're big artists, but we've kind of fine-tuned it and we've honed it. And we've actually, found some legitimately good artists who have got projects that are good projects, and we really recommend them because, they're kind of flying a little bit under the commercial radar. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Again,
I'd hate for anyone to have the impression, that we just kind of find small artists on purpose and we just kind of throw them on. It's like, no, there's a shit ton of small artists that I don't give a fuck about. Like, you get these people, right? And it's happened before. Someone send me an artist to be like, man, you need to check this person out. They're so underrated. I'm like, they have 2 songs, mate. Wait, what? And then, like, do you know what I mean? Like, they only have 2 songs. They're not. You can't rate them. That's the thing. Like, I think people get that mixed up as well. It's like, I can't rate this person. Like, for example, Bella has 2 fucking albums with like 70,000 monthly listeners. That is ridiculous with the talent that she has. Yeah. That's one where it's like, that actually doesn't make any sense to me, especially in the streaming world. There's other artists where I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck you had one good song. You have nothing else to you. Like, come back when you actually have an album. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's just, I feel like it just skews public opinion a lot as well. And then, I think it just skews like the life cycle of an artist, because before, a lot of these call a spade, a lot of these shitter artists will get flushed out quicker. And to me, I don't care about that, because some people are like, okay, there should be an underground scene in the UK, and yes, they should, but a good one. Underground doesn't mean that I'm just not as good. It just means I'm like, that's a whole different definition, right? And yeah, me, I like to listen to the best music possible. I don't care about okay music. I care about the best music. So if the music just isn't that good, I'm sorry, I don't care. Don't care. Just don't. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Say it. And while we're on the topic, the underground, I probably bang on about it a lot, but the underground scene in the US is ridiculous. The underground hip hop rap scene in the US at the moment it's been like this for a while, but like, yeah, it's insane. Last year, album of the year, Car. Like, there's so many of them.
100%. And they'll wash these UK albums out of the water every time, every fucking time. You never hear these guys. Like, it just would never happen. I mean, same with R&B as well, right? Because again, it slaps on the playlist and it sounds nice in the background. Before streaming kicked in, there wasn't as many shit singers as there are now. There's a shit ton of meaty, super meaty singers, literally because streaming exists and they sound nice and over beats. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, that's just the way, people listen to music, isn't it? So you're gonna, if it's just kind of creates a nice ambience while you're working, then why not just pop it on? I get it, I understand it, but at the same time, obviously, we enjoy a good project, an album. But yeah, I guess talking more about like artists and kind of like the way it's changed their behavior, like you get kind of smaller artists, medium-sized artists that are like moving towards like Bandcamp and things like that. What's your take on that?
I don't mind it. I think even No Name, which is, I don't know what type of artist she is these days anyways, but like you get people like No Name who also like stream on Bandcamp, because again, I feel like it's just not making sense anymore. Like it's good. I think you gotta find a balance between I'm a good artist that everyone knows, but I'm broke, compared to maybe less people know me, but I actually have money in my pocket and I can actually make this a viable career. So I think stuff like Bandcamp, where there's more money in the pocket, or even stuff like
they can set the prices. Like there's a lot more autonomy for the artists themselves.
Exactly, and even stuff like Tidal, I think they give way more. Obviously, Tidal's the least popular streaming service, right? But even stuff like Tidal, where you get way more money per stream, like I fuck with that, because like I don't think you should just have to conform. Like because the people who like your music and fuck with you will always find you, and music will always be that way. It will always be that way. Like it doesn't matter where you listen to it. It could be in the Insecure soundtrack, it could be in the club, it could be as a car's driving by. Like most legitimately good music will find you. And if you don't find all of them, fair enough. You're not gonna find all of them. You appreciate the ones you have. And I think it's fair trade. So stuff like Bandcamp, where it's like, okay, it's not my everyday Spotify. And yeah, sometimes you might have to go out your way. There's still some songs on SoundCloud that are so good. I'm like, okay, that's why I still have fucking SoundCloud. Because I'm like, you know what? Same. This song is good. And it's like, okay, I want to listen to that. So I'll go to SoundCloud and listen to it. There's even certain songs that are way outside of our genres of interest, John. I'm like, this is a banger. And I have to have that somewhere because I like the songs. I don't remember how I fucking found them, and it definitely wasn't through like word of mouth, because a lot of these songs I'm only fucking one who listens to them anyway. So it's like, I think people underestimate that aspect. So no, I'm a big fan of stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like the idea. You obviously see it more with kind of like smaller time artists, right? Because like we said, they obviously see that streaming is not gonna work out realistically. Like their chances of blowing are small. So at least let me do this. At least make it make like financial sense. 100%. So like people are gonna buy, they're gonna like give you physical money, not like some kind of small metric where you don't actually get a lot of money in a bank account. So no, I like the idea. And again, vinyls, CDs, tapes, people want to buy that, then obviously that supports the artist.
That's the most backward thing as well, isn't it? Because we are called the Vinyl Collective, right? But it's so weird because obviously vinyls were damn near extinct up until maybe 5-6 years ago, right? And before that, vinyls cost less than CDs because it's an outdated way to listen to music for most albums. So it's like getting a vinyl costs less than a CD, and then obviously vinyls became aesthetically pleasing again. So literally, people would rather buy a vinyl for aesthetics than a CD for the genuine listening experience, or just buying the shit on iTunes. I'm not saying you need to have a physical copy, but if you just had to buy everything you listen to, so that's too much of a high price. But buying a £20 vinyl, do you know what I mean? Just to have, like, that's what you want to do. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And the fact that that's become such a market now is fucking ridiculous. So on top of like the streams and all that, you're telling me you're gonna buy their album to not listen to. That's the power of streaming. Like, you're literally gonna buy it and it's like, fuck it, it's not listen to it. Like, it's just gonna chill.
And now they've become just like, what is it, like £20-25 for vinyl?
Some of them are ridiculous. Try to get a Jay-Z vinyl, mate. You're looking at.
I was looking at Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah,
I think I saw on eBay for like £350.
Exactly. Even Telephone, because Telephone didn't have that.
I pray I'm rich enough to hear that one day.
Like, Telephone's like £100 for the vinyl because limited copy. And the thing is, again, you're not doing that because you want to hear it on vinyl. You're doing it for the aesthetic. So if you really want to support that artist, just buy the CD. Buy the CD. Like, whatever.
CDs are apparently making a bit of a comeback now.
Oh, they really?
CDs or tapes. I think someone was saying to me the other day, like, vinyls aren't edgy enough anymore because everyone has them. So this is the like aesthetic thing of it. It's like, because everyone has vinyls now. We need to move on to something else. So maybe we'll get the Walkmans again.
I mean, cassettes have come back. I know Wu-Tang have re-released some of their projects now back on cassette for the first time in years. So that's definitely making a comeback, which again, that doesn't make any sense to me because I'm pretty sure the artists would love for you to buy their latest album on CD or iTunes because that's going to be a lot more to them, but whatever. On top of that, I mean, we spoke about it briefly with the Jasmine Southern review, but even the fact that you don't even need to drop a fucking album to make money anymore. And that's why I can't feel too sorry for them. We got to pull it back. I got to put it back. The problem now as well with streaming as well is that now people are going years we meme on her, but it's a real thing. Her does not have an album out, technically. And in our brains, the reason why that's a problem, right? In our brains, album is the top of the hierarchy, right? Do you know what I mean? And that's always going to be the case. There's nothing you can do to change that. When we hear someone's dropping an album, we're way more hyped compared to someone's dropping a mixtape, an EP, a single, right?
Yeah.
So if I say I'm not dropping an album, the expectation instantaneously drops off. So I mean, if I say, okay, Kendrick Lamar's dropping a mixtape, so okay, you think throwaway songs or whatever. Yeah. Even the name mixtape doesn't even make sense in today's modern world because it's meant to be a tape of mixes. Literally.
Like literally. Mixtapes in like the 90s and 80s, right? They were like a collection of different, so not even often from the same artist, right? They're like different artists in like a, I don't know, maybe from the same record label or whatever, would like get their songs together and make a mixtape. Then, you know, you get kind of like the mid 2000s, late 2000s, you've got like Lil Wayne, Future releasing mixtapes, and that was to like blow. Like that was their like, I've got this good mixtape and I'm going to try and make it, right? But now you've got artists either saying they're not going to release a studio album because they want to go for a mixtape, or you've got artists re-releasing mixtapes on streaming services. That annoys me. The Weeknd's doing it. He's releasing. He's already got the trilogy on there. I don't know why he's releasing House of Balloons. And then you've got, what is it, Drake a year or two ago, and that reached, what was it, top 3 on the album charts because he re-released So Far Gone. Then you've got...
I mean, and he did it with, bloody hell, Care Package as well. And you're right. So it's insane.
Infuriating.
And don't get me wrong, I think that there's a practicality aspect to it, but it's the fact that they're going to get money off songs they dropped 10 years ago, which makes no fucking sense to me. And 2, the whole idea of mixtapes before was, 1, you're not signed, so you can't fucking drop an album if you wanted to. And 2, you're using a lot of beats that can't be cleared. They can't be cleared, which makes sense. So of course that's a mixtape. So why in the living fuck, right? Am I past the loo? We had him as an artist spotlight, so I'm not even taking the piss. But I'm past the loo, right? And I'm getting flown out on SNL, right? To fucking perform a mixtape song. Are you taking the piss? Like, what does it literally even mean anymore to do that? If we're saying that fucking past the loo with a mixtape can go on SNL. Deep that. Like, that doesn't... That should blow people's mind. If that doesn't say anything, I don't know what to tell you, right? You have fucking Jasmine Sullivan dropping an EP, Hotels are cool. Even EPs as well. EPs weren't even that much of a big thing before streaming as well. That's like a newer concept. So I get if EPs came in to take over mixtapes, there's no mixtape function on Spotify because even they know it doesn't make any fucking sense. They just call it an album.
And also they're like, oh, it's increased accessibility so everyone can hear it. If you want to hear it, you can go and get it online because it's free. It's literally free online. It's on that pixel going. It's online and it's free. So then why are you clearing samples, going over remastering a mixtape to then drop it on Spotify? Well, it's to make money, isn't it? Surely everyone sees through that. It's not. They're not treating the fans with the care package. They're not treating the fans by like finally bringing House of Balloons to Spotify. Like
that's like
I've had it all along.
That's the 250 IQ play, isn't it? Like you know what I mean? Like that's the true thing. Like, you know, it's like It's like when the Jordans get released and it's like, you know, they do like their 25th release. They're like, here's the brand new Jordans in purple. It's like, fuck, did I not have that? It's like, it's just a slightly different shade of purple. It's like, wait, what? It's like, fuck, I gotta have it. It's like, even though it's the same fucking trailer, like, I don't know how they've been able to do this, right? Or you know what it's like? It's like you're at a restaurant, right? And then obviously you're like, shit, look, I think there's a hair in my food. And it's like, okay, you know what? Sorry, I'm so sorry. Like, we'll take that back and we'll start a new one. And they're like, fucking just take the hair out and reheat it, mate. And they just do that. Like, oh my gosh, I can really taste the added flavor. Thank you so much. It's like, it's the same thing, but the psychology behind it is like ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, I can literally go on that pip as Joel was doing it some years ago and get Dream Chasers 2, 1999, So Far Gone. I can get all these fucking albums, but now, even though I am paying now, that's the thing. I don't know how they've done it, John. I actually don't know how they've done it. So they've actually convinced
it's the biggest con of the 21st century.
They've actually convinced people that paying for free mixtapes is somehow a better like thing than just getting it for free on your actual physical phone when you can just stream it until no, you know, that's the thing. That's what's even worse is now they've said you need an internet connection to fucking listen to these songs, or you could have had it for free on your phone. Like, what the fuck? That actually doesn't make any sense.
Mad.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't. Oh, they keep getting away with it. Like, and everyone's done that as well.
It's
like,
definitely it's definitely like like we said, it's co-opted the mixtape from small artists who are trying to blow. Because like as we've said so many times in this episode now, like small artists aren't making the mixtapes like that anymore. They're just trying to make a song to blow.
No, they're not trying to make albums.
They're not trying to make albums. Sorry, yeah.
I'll make a mixtape just to see. You know what it is? A mixtape is like, oh, here's my training album.
But even so, there's not that many. A lot of artists just go straight to Spotify with like a song.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, as you said, they will end up on Color Show. But that's for another day.
But I'm just saying, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like the mix. That's the thing. I feel like, especially when they're getting big and building up a lot of tracks, and like Parsley, right? It's like, you know what? I don't want to have this on my name right now because I'm not ready. So I'll just drop a mini album and just call it a mixtape. That doesn't make any sense because you're still getting paid for that. You're still having all these fucking big features like Mahalia and Back Row G. That still on bloody. He had millions on that as well. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It never will. You're never going to convince me. It's not semantics. It's not. It just doesn't make any sense because now you can't tell me what unless someone can tell me what the difference between an album and a mixtape is on Spotify. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear it. It literally doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. EPs as well, because an EP, again, it's essentially an album. It's just a shorter album.
Yeah. We had that with Hotels.
Like, and the thing is, and this is what Drake kind of got away with, right? So it's like, actually, I just don't feel like dropping Certified Mother's Boy. Given a few tracks that I leaked anyways, just to...
We need to copyright that. We need to copyright that.
Yeah, we do. It's just...
Talking of, I've just decided on a great name for this episode.
Go on.
Revenge of the Streamers.
I'm down with that.
Cool.
I'm down with that.
Well, if you're listening, we came up with the idea during the show.
Oh man, fucking hell. But yeah, like it's just really insane. Like I feel like there has to be a point, right, where if someone calls something an EP, it gets less streaming numbers, or the price per stream goes down. If they call it a mixtape, the price per stream goes down, because I feel like we need to get back to the point where there's actually an incentive to drop an album, because even I think it's even affected some of the bigger artists, right? Even Cardi B hasn't dropped an album in 3 years.
Yeah,
this is one of the biggest artists on the planet.
Same with like, I mean, not hip hop, but same with a lot of like Latin artists and like reggaeton. With the exception of like, I mean, you've probably heard of like Bad Bunny. He releases albums, but like there are a lot of artists that just don't. They just release singles. They just feature, and the rate of reggaeton songs honestly is a joke. Like they release like monthly, like every single month is a new song. It's a new song. But again, clearly no incentive in that genre, either.
Yeah. And it's the same here. Like that's when I think people are so happy about like this rise in the UK music, and they're not even actually considering that it's actually hurting the scene, because now you have shit artists being called top 5, which will never make any sense. Where the good that's saying you just have faith in the process, guys. The good artists would always go to the top. So you have shit artists being called top 5, putting the pressure on them when though they were never meant to be here for long, anyways. Like, did you hear the story behind Fredo becoming an artist? He's probably the only exception in the world. So Fredo, right? He's not a rapper. He was just a roadman, right? And then he dropped 100, right? And then he went to prison. He didn't even know. He didn't even know that song was blowing up whilst he was in prison. Obviously, he came out. He's like, "Fuck it,
guess I'm a rapper."
Yeah, I guess I'm a fucking rapper, right? That's meant. Don't get me wrong. That's the exception to the rule, because Fredo actually turned out to be a competent artist. But there's a lot of examples where people do that. Do you know what a really kind of depressing example is? 2-3. 2-3 had one of the biggest songs the UK has ever seen in terms of rap in Ain't Bothered. That was a fucking anthem. But then it's like, wait, boy, you actually have to rap. When Daddy record label actually says, come into the house, you actually have to produce some songs. And then when that happens, things go to shit quickly, like so fast. And then now these guys, they're too famous to work at fucking Tesco's now. But then they're not big enough to actually make sense to drop any sort of music.
Yeah. It fucks up for themselves as well. Yeah.
fucks up the
100%.
scene. Fucks up the
Yeah.
scene. Like, Bryson Tiller's story was cute. Now look what you guys done to him.
Mm.
If Trap Soul was a physical copy and it had to fight itself in the store next to Pimp a Butterfly or 90059 or what else came out in 2015, all that other good shit, like if it had to actually compete against that, it's not gonna hold up, and maybe it shouldn't. If the single Don't would do really well, and maybe that would help the album. And that's one thing, again, singles used to help albums. Like Thriller is called Thriller literally because the biggest song on the album
50 Cent, like Get Rich or Die Trying, that was off of like 2 or 3 big hits, right? Yeah, and I know there are a lot of great songs in the album, but again,
100%.
made it.
But that's how a lot of artists did it. It's like their biggest single was just the name of the album, or the biggest single forced them to make an album because they wanted to get more sales off the single on the album at least. And especially when you buy the album, you're like, fuck it, I've got the album now. I only wanted to listen to one song, but fuck it, I'll listen to the whole thing anyways. Like people literally used to buy whole albums for one song. So you're telling me for artists you actually like, you wouldn't buy whole albums to listen to the whole album.
And this is the thing that I can't believe we've gone, what is it, like 50 minutes without mentioning it yet. We've kind of been dancing around it, right? But like the fact that these artists don't need to make albums anymore, it doesn't drive the scene forward, because we've slated Drake so many times because he makes the same shit every month, every year, and he doesn't innovate. And that's the thing, that a lot of these top artists just aren't innovating because they're not releasing an album where they try out lots of different sounds. Or like Heady One's a good example, right? Like he went with Gang. I know the response wasn't great, but like he innovated and he tried out different sounds. But when you get a lot of artists that are just releasing single after single after single, you're not going to see they're just going to do the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, it becomes very formulaic at that point. Yeah,
and like the whole point, like a lot of industries, right? The point should be to, encourage like the smaller artists along on their journey, right? And like if the smaller artists are just seeing, The Weeknd or whoever it is just releasing the same stuff, then why are they going to try and innovate? Because they're like, well, this is the roadmap to success, right?
100%.
And that's what albums do. It's a story, and you have to be a competent artist to release an album. You can't just make an album of 10 songs, because no one's going to listen to it if it's just rubbish. Like there has to be either a narrative, or there has to be solid production throughout. There has to be, some
at least
kind
a few
of real
bangers.
Story. Yes, a few bangers, like at the very least. So yeah, I think that's definitely one thing as well that streaming's done. It's kind of limited innovation.
Yeah, 100%. Even the artists that do try to be innovative, because it's like, in maths, it's like regression, right? So the famous thing about regression is the reason why you wouldn't just like spend top dollar on like a guy who's like rookie of the year is because he hasn't actually assimilated to the league yet. He's had one hot season, but because that's such a small data size, eventually over time that guy's gonna like fall in line with the mean in a certain sense, right? So with certain artists, it's like even if you do get someone like a Brockhampton or a JPEG Mafia, or all these guys who are actually trying to do shit differently, the fact that it's just not going to make sense in the long run. This is why like we shit on Drake, but what Drake is doing mathematically and financially is the smartest thing, because he knows, technically this will always get this type of music, this type of song thrown on the biggest art, one of the biggest rappers in the world, and Lil Baby. That's going to get the streams. I don't need to do anything else. But if I try to do something different, people might like it for a bit, but because there's such a plethora of the other stuff, it's very hard for you to be like, it's very hard for that kind of cream to come to the top. Compared to if an album is big and people are just buying it off the shelves, that's a whole different vibe. That's a whole different vibe. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the problem.
I'm going to ask you, do you think Kanye West, like, innovator, right? Do you think he would have innovated and had the desire and the, what's the word? The kind of incentive to do so if it had been in the era of streaming? Because his biggest transformations happened in the kind of late 2000s, kind of early 2010s, just before streaming hit.
I think he's the exception to the rule. I feel like he's just so next level. I feel like he would have always got that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's other artists where I think that's the case. I feel there's not many purists when it comes to rap. Like I feel like Kendrick Lamar was always going to be Kendrick Lamar. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, you know, stuff like that. But I feel like for most other artists, I'm trying to think of a big artist
Who doesn't innovate?
I feel like if J. Cole did not have streaming, he would be forced. He would be literally forced to change his sound. 100%. There's no way J. Cole would have 3 albums back to back to back with no singles. I mean, no features, sorry, and no production credits outside of himself. That would never fucking happen.
KOD was a big change in sound, though. I will give him that.
Yeah, but it's still him. And it's still J. Cole-ish. And it's still kind of, again, it's like J. Cole.
No, but like the flow and the production stuff did change. And I know it's all him still.
Yeah, but again, for someone as big as he is, it was someone one of the biggest rappers. People put him in that, like, you know, top 3 that just can't be moved, right? So if you're talking about that level, there's no way, I don't know, like, there's just no way that would happen in any other era of music. It just wouldn't. Like, even after a while, like, 50 Cent couldn't make the same music, just because the numbers don't lie. Well, streaming does lie. That's the problem. Streaming lies. Streaming lies a lot, because one thing we haven't even touched on is industry plants, right? And before it was a meme, but now it's a real thing. Like, not going to mention any names. Not going to mention, any names. But there are certain albums, especially in the UK, that have gotten number 1. And I'm like, I have heard no one fucking speak about this album at all. Because people just have the machines.
We're in the business of naming names on this episode.
No, I can't do that. But it's just... yeah, you have machines, right? I don't want to say, I can't prove it, right? That's the problem. I can't prove it. But in my heart of hearts, I know it's true. You have certain artists, right? And obviously they're famous and do the thing, but then one week they're number 1. And it's happened to a lot of these UK artists where it's like number 1 next week. It's like, what? Who's listening to this? No one actually likes this. No one likes this. Like, where's this come from? But yeah, the fact that there's a literal way I can get myself more money. Like, that's like fucking Bitcoin mining. It's literally Bitcoin mining. Because I just have 20 phones on and they're playing your album from morning to night. I leave them on charge. I'm literally going to get money from that. That should never happen. That doesn't make sense. I don't know what you think. That does not make sense.
I agree. No, I mean, I can't say anything against that. I agree. I just wanted to know who you were thinking about. But...
I mean, there's definitely some cats in the US. Like, the facts, there's definitely some cats in the US as well. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'll give you one quickly. Who the fuck listens to Russ? Russ is he's got so many fucking streams. Who's actually listening to Russ?
I'm not going to name them. I've seen someone on Spotify listening to Russ.
I have not met anyone, personally, I am not even memeing when I say this, who said, damn, you know what song's actually really on my mind lately? That new Russ song.
See, this is the problem. This is what we were saying about, like, thematic and, like, mood playlists. He's definitely on like a ton of like Spotify playlists.
100%. Yeah.
And this is what people listen to all day when they work.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with playlists, right? There's nothing, but
we love it here.
I think of course we do. But I think the abundance of especially these like algorithm based ones, it's definitely
the metric
more harm than good. Yeah. The metric as well. Oh man, I think this might be the last thing I've mentioned. I know it's fucking going way too long, anyways. But the another thing about, I don't think many people know this as well. So when it comes to, especially your Spotify end of year, your most played song isn't the song you played the most times. It's the song you've listened to for the most minutes. And that's a huge key distinction to make, a very huge key distinction to make. Because as we've seen, right, Drake is taking the top 3 numbers in the charts. Lemon Pepper Freestyle's like, 6 minutes, right? If I listen to Lemon Pepper Freestyle 50 times, but I listen to Somewhere in America by Jay-Z 100 times, my most played song will be Lemon Pepper Freestyle. That doesn't make any sense, even though I've listened to that other one 100 times. But that's what I'm saying. So they've even taken minutes into account. That's why you have some of these artists with long fucking songs, because again, it's gonna take more of the streaming metric, which that should never be a metric.
On the other side of that as well, I think a lot of artists are encouraged to do the exact opposite of that, because you get a streaming count for every 30 seconds. So if a lot of artists are releasing short ass songs. Like, what was it? Lil Nas X, what was his big song? His really big one.
Country.
Yeah. I think that wasn't there a lot of versions of it, but some of the versions were like hella short.
Yeah.
And that got massive replays. And it's still huge on the charts. So I think people know, and artists know, that 30 seconds is all they need to catch you with a catchy chorus, they can make a 2-minute song and that's them done. Because like, why am I going to bother like structuring this song out to have 2 good verses, a bridge, a chorus, etc., when I can just give you 2 minutes of like beat and
no,
nonsense.
legit. No, it's true. No, it's true.
Yeah, it's
true. Like even his EP7, like that one's like 18 minutes, 8 songs. That's all you gotta do. I don't think he's even released shit since then. I don't think he has. Yeah, like that's because you don't fucking need to. Like that's what I'm saying. Or like the fact that like music should never get to the point, right, where you're literally you shouldn't be able to make a science out of music. That should never be the case. There shouldn't be like
just formula. Like a little sprinkle of this, a little bit of this.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like the
exact same flow that I used in the last 3 songs.
Yeah, like there should never get a point where it's like the optimal song time is 3 minutes 40 seconds. That should never ever be the case. If a song is banging like Mural and it's like 9 minutes long, let that be. If a song's really short and it's banging, that should just come naturally. But the fact that you can actually do that now, like. I'm pretty sure it's getting to a machine learning level where it's like, if I look at all, and I think Spotify has these metrics. Like, if you connect to Spotify's API, I know I'm getting really technical here, but you can look at all these little like attributes they add to a song, like its loudness, its happiness level. They have all this data, and from that you can even predict that's how they predict the songs you listen to in your daily mixes, right? Because they look at all these little variables and it's like, okay, so if you look at the most streamed songs, top 100 most streamed songs, do they have a similarity? Okay, let's make a song like that. And I guarantee you there's people doing that right now.
Yeah, 100% with their record labels, right?
Yeah, right. And it should have never been that way. Like, there's always going to be industry plants, don't be wrong. Yeah. I'm not acting like there was no Vanilla Ices before all of this. I'm not saying that, but it was way less than it is now.
Yeah. The fact that you're like artists are always going to be like in bondage to their record labels, but you're right. When there are so many artists under a record label and they've got there through 1 or 2 big hits, they know they haven't like got enough of they haven't got a mixtape to be like, look, like this was my work before, this is what I'm doing. They're like, no, you've got 2 hits, they banged because of this, so we're going to do that again and again and again, because otherwise you're out of here.
Yeah, literally. You're not gonna argue with Daddy record label, are you? You're just not gonna do. He's not gonna do it before before he takes that advance that you spent. He's gonna take that back real quick. Like, you know what I mean, like, man.
A lot of negatives to say about streaming, isn't there?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously,
it works as well.
Yeah, it does work. Like, we are literally on a streaming service, right?
Yeah.
But like,
so if you've made it past 30 seconds, thank you very much. You've given us a listen.
But I think it's there and we enjoy it. But like, again, I was never my like for music was never just gonna fade away simply because I didn't have Spotify. That was never going to happen. Like, I feel like even now, like if I like an album, I just buy it. But now again, even that's just weird. And now people only restrict their buy-in to like 10 out of 10s. I was like, wait, you like the album? Like, why does it have to be like some perfect bona fide classics for you to buy? That's why it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you like the album. Like, it doesn't have to, it could be like a 6 out of 10.
Well, it just says a lot again about people's about listening habits. Because if you're not willing to buy vinyl and you have to listen from A to B, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
So
like, it's just, or even then, if you like one, like I feel like there's so many other routes you can take, and even with podcasting, right? It doesn't need to be Spotify. I mean, SoundCloud would have always exist. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be. And again, like, I think people think, oh, but you wouldn't get as many streams. I don't fucking care. I don't like. I don't like. Do you know what I mean? It's not about. It shouldn't be about that. But here we are. I mean, what's a life with morals in 2021? Anyways, but I don't know.
I feel like that kind of does that wrap us up there.
Yeah, conclude.
I wish we had a positive note to end it on, but
I mean, no, it's definitely good, isn't it? Like, it's more practical. I say that it's good, but
it's definitely more practical. It allows for more accessibility, more opportunity, more chance for people to be seen.
Yeah, and more ownership as well.
Definitely,
as well, and that's obviously a big thing. 100%. Yeah, 100%. But I feel like people don't discuss. I think people act like streaming was like this like new religion that came in and saved everyone's lives, and it's like actually it's like that episode, it's like the Futurama film. I don't know if you've seen it, right? Yeah, I'm gonna Futurama reference. So right, basically it's a Futurama film where this alien from another planet, basically it's like it has like many tentacles, and once he like hits you the tentacle, he kind of controls your mind and tells you that tentacle is like the way, the truth, and the life, even though he literally created a totalitarian society. But like, you know what I mean? But I think people do the same thing with streamers. Like I think people just think it's like, how could we have lived life before this? It was like, we did live life before this. We actually didn't need it, but now we feel like we need it. It's just a convenience, and we shouldn't forget that it's just a convenience. That's what it is.
But like looking forward, like before we kind of end it, like streaming is increasing its share of the pie. So I mean, you kind of streaming sales are only going to be weighted probably more heavier and heavier as time goes on, even though the reverse would probably encourage, as we've said, innovation.
Yeah, and I mean, Rihanna would have fucking dropped an album by now. She that's the thing. Rihanna doesn't need to drop an album. That's how bad it is. The streets beloved. She actually doesn't need to, because it doesn't make any fucking financial sense. And she's a music artist. She came up as a music artist. That's where we're at, man. It's so bad. It's really, and if it keeps going this way, no one you like will become a musician. No one with real talent, because it just won't make any sense. You have to be like, it's already a small pie of people who actually make it. It's gonna get even smaller. Like it's gonna be real bad, guys. So just be vigilant.
Yeah, which is why we encourage people to take a look at a pie called Now and Then.
Yes, of course. Nice little segue.
One of our most beloved playlists. Where every single week we pick a new song from like the last 12 months, and then also a throwback song.
Yes, sir.
Got some diversity on there, isn't it? I was looking through it the other day. We've got like from like Fox. Last week we had like from Foxy Brown to like who did you add on last week? Was that WizKid? Wasn't it? I think I added a WizKid song on there.
You did a WizKid song.
Great range on there. So if you're looking to discover something.
One thing about TBC, we have the range. So
I'm going to kick us off. Yeah, my throwback song is Drop from The Far Side. That was from their album Lab Cabin, California, which begs the question that this feels like they were like, we saw, was it Southern Player California? What was it? I can't say it. But anyway, and my new song is Navy Blues 2020 album.
Yes.
Fucking love the album. Navy Blue is incredible. We will talk about him more at some point.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he had a project early in 2020 called Arda Iris, or Arda Irin, and this was the follow-up to it. And the song is called Breathe, and it features what used to be Mos Def, now is Yasin Bey.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna see your mate Yasin Bey. I'm gonna raise you a Mos Def. So I'm gonna add as my Ven song. Oh, I mean, I have been liking Black Star. I know, man. Shout out to you, like, listen to this. I know you like that, but I'm going to add. Oh, yeah, fuck it. I think you already added Respiration, so I'm not going to add that. But I'm going to add Astronomy 8th Light. So by Mos Def and Talib Kweli on Black Star. So that'll be my Ven song. And my Now song, oof, man, it's pretty skin at the moment. But my Now song will be Different Scales by Mick Jenkins. I'm pretty sure that's not on there.
I don't think it is. I think there's a song from Circus on it, but I don't think it's that.
Yeah, fucking banger. Yeah.
That was only a year ago.
Yeah.
Damn.
Good EP though. I don't be shit on EPs, but that's a good fucking EP. I like that one a lot. So that was a good EP. So shout out to Big Jenkins in that one.
But check out Now and Then. It's on Spotify. We add to it every single week. You can also obviously find our Spotlight Series playlist. 3 songs every single week, which we pick. What else can they find on there?
I mean, you can find more content on our Instagram, Vinyl Collective Pod, have like the little meme games going on now. We have our Spotlight series where we break down some of the artists. We also have our Twitter, TVC Pod. We kind of throw on like little facts here and there if you want to tune into that. Subscribe to the Vinyl Collective actually on Spotify, your beloved Spotify or Apple Music.
And Apple, leave us a review if you think, these guys are amazing.
Speaking of reviews, actually.
Is there a new review on Apple?
Yeah, I saw a review on Apple.
Come on, tell me about it.
And someone said, good album reviews, but very opinionated. I was like, I hope that's the way it goes. I mean, I'd hope I'll have an opinion. I'm really glad. I don't get how that was a but. It's like, she's really pretty, but she's got a fat ass. I was like, wait, what? I thought that was like a bonus. Like, I don't really understand that. But yeah, shout out to us. So if you want some good reviews, you want some good but very opinionated reviews, you know where to find us. So shout out to us. Also find us on YouTube, stuff like that. Should have more interesting content for you guys in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. I've had a good one.
We also on Instagram we add a song almost every single day. Song of the day. We have that playlist on Spotify. We also have I'm gonna say fairly regularly updated playlist called Shazam, and that is where John tries to go back every single week and remember, just from memory, where and what songs we talked about in the episode. So, if we mentioned a couple of songs throughout the episode, you were like, what was that? Go to the playlist. 50% chance it's on there.
You heard the man. Yeah. That's it, isn't it?
That's us.
Cool.
Thanks.
Peace. We out.